What's up, everybody? It's EJ Spark. A lot of my friends have asked me for advice about starting their podcast, so today I'm giving you 5 ideas on what to do your podcast on if you would like to start a podcast. I know there's a stigma around starting a podcast. Oh, we don't need any more podcasts in the world. Whatever. You do what you want. So, people that want to start podcasts out there, of course you need to do a podcast on something you're interested in. That is a must. But if you do a topic that is super popular, your podcast is going to probably get buried among all the other podcasts out there. So maybe these podcast ideas that I'm about to tell you, you could do yourself. Maybe you'll be semi-interested in one and you can build off of these topics. But Buzzsprout, my podcast hosting site, gave me the 5 most common podcast topics from Apple Music of 2019. These podcast topics are comedy, news and politics, society and culture, personal journals, and history. I guess personal journals are just updating people on their daily or weekly lives. Kind of not really like my podcast, The Pit. The Pit's kind of, it's more of a storytelling comedy podcast, but I guess my podcast is pretty much like a lot of others out there, but whatever. I like telling stories. So the reason those are the 5 most popular podcasts done by creators is because that's obviously what people are interested in the most. But if you like these 5 topics that I'm about to tell you, you should definitely go for it because they're very, very uncommon, and I think I would be interested in listening to these 5 topics. My first idea for a topic is a literature podcast. I know there are audiobooks out there, but those are still just books and storytelling. If you created an actual literature podcast, even about poetry or how to write, or even giving your reviews on books, I still think people love reading. Even with all the, podcasts and electronics and stuff these days, people love reading a good book. So I think literature and books would be a great topic to start a podcast on. Number 2, self-help and how-to podcasts. I think the reason there's not a lot of self-help or how-to podcasts is because it's all audio. Most how-to, forms of help are from YouTube and just all the forms of video. So you can actually see how to do it, but I don't think there's anything wrong with starting a podcast about doing things, because you can never have too much knowledge on how to do things. Number 3, business and investments. Business was actually quite low on the amount of podcasts there are in that topic. Now, there were a decent amount of marketing and promotional podcasts, but not as much so as business and investments and finance. And I truly think that business, finance, all that stuff could really help young people, even stuff that people complain about they don't teach in school, like doing your taxes. I think that would truly be a great idea if you're into investments, if you're into business like that. I would say start a podcast, and you never know where that could take you because everything is business in this world. All right, number 4, environmental podcasts or animal podcasts. People love watching the Animal Channel. People love watching, nature videos. And I think people would really be interested in like the animals around the world, news about animals, news about the environment. I don't really see that many environmental podcasts. So if you're an environmentalist or a zoologist, I would definitely say start a podcast, and your podcast will probably stand out. And number 5, I know this might be cliche or cheesy, but fitness podcasts. Once again, this is another podcast idea that is mostly on YouTube, and they're mostly videos because people want to watch on how to do exercises. But I think talking about fitness is just as good. People can write down in their notes or just keep note of the things that you're talking about. So if you're a fitness guru, I would definitely say start a fitness podcast because fitness is going to be around forever, and there's always going to be a demand to learn about fitness and to learn to be healthy. And although there are a lot of health podcasts out there, I don't think there is much, weightlifting, CrossFit, exercise type podcast. So I would definitely say start that fitness podcast if that is what you're into, and you never know what that could become. So I hope that gave you some inspiration on ideas if you are looking to start a podcast. So that's all I have for you guys today. You can listen to my storytelling podcast linked in the description below. Remember to follow me on Instagram and Twitter at EJSpark1, and please, please, please hit the subscribe and the like button. And as always, it's peace, love, I love s'mores, EJ out.